Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Ingrid Jones, and welcome to the post-fight Warrington Highland or Whyte versus Allen, depending on what you tuned in to want to watch. Post-fight boxing review. For those who are new, thank you, welcome. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments. Of course, push the yellow button in the corner to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to share the videos. Lots to talk about, packed card of boxing. So we'll start right from where I started watching the boxing, which was Tyrone against Tommy Coyle. Tommy Coyle moving up in weight to challenge Tyrone for the British title. Let me make sure that I address anybody who's in the room. Evening, Ingram. Junab, disappointed with the fight. Sky stole your lines. Dave seems stuck in sparring partner mentality. Junab, base bottle back line. Junab, Dave Allen is crap. Okay, I'm going to take it from the start of the show, start of the night, and then we'll get into the Dave Allen thing later on. I want to talk about Tyrone versus Tommy Coyle. So I want to give those guys a shout out as well. First and foremost, Tommy Coyle moving up in weight to challenge Tyrone who clearly was the bigger man, the taller man, and had the better range. And first of all, give Tommy Coyle all the credit in the world for moving up and taking on a challenge where he, Tommy Coyle's a limited fighter. He's got bags of heart, and you know, he's just a game warrior. On the flip side, you've got Tyrone height, reach, good boxing ability, able to stay cool under pressure on the ropes, able to fight when his back's against the ropes, able to fight in the center of the ring. My criticism, first of all, of Tyrone as quality and a good fighter that he is, my criticism of him is that he spent a lot of time admiring his work. And I think he could have stopped Tommy Coyle had he put his punches together with more fluidity. I'd like to see him put 4 and 5 punches together. Like to see him throw the left jab, the right hand, and probably whip an uppercuts in more often from distance as opposed to him doing it up close. Like to see Nurse spinning Coyle a lot more and putting punches together. When he spun Coyle, I like to see him put 2-3 punches together and get away, work the body more. But he did a lot of sitting back, admiring his work, sitting on the ropes, and leaving himself exposed at times with right hands over the top. And Coyle was digging in. He was digging in and throwing shots. The knockdown, I think, was more of an off-balance thing than opposed to actually Nurse being significantly hurt. I'd say this much in terms of assessment. Tommy Coyle moving up. If Tommy Coyle was a puncher of any sort of significant note in that weight category, he may well have been a champion because he was catching Nurse cleanly with a lot of good shots. My assessment is I think he did win the fight by at least a good 3-4 rounds and did outbox him. I'd like to have seen Nurse really put his punch together more. That being said, moving forward for Nurse, I would like to see him get to the States. I'd like to see him go to America because of the sort of style he's got. And if he's going to box the way he's going to box, then it would be nice for him to kind of polish up his skills and learn some new tricks, whether going down to the Mayweather camp and working in there and getting extra sparring in like a Mayweather camp, that'd be nice. Or working with a trainer that will teach him, you know, the nice tricks of putting shots together, work rate, distance and timing, the things you learn from, you know, his dad's done a fantastic job so far. Tyrone his dad's done a fantastic job so far. And at British level, that's going to be good. But when you stick in a European and world level, the mistakes that you make at British level, you'll get punished for a European and definitely a world level, which moves me on to my next fight, Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell, when he started his career, was knocking guys over and doing basically what he wanted to do. He's now found resistance, particularly his next fight where he's had against Mendes. Mendes dropped him in the second round. See, when you start making mistakes at this level, you know, people will punish you for it. Didn't like Campbell's stance, too wide apart, which don't allow you to actually move and be able to get in and out. When you've got your legs planted like that, that's when you're looking to land power shots. When Campbell noticed, look, you know what, the knockout is not in here, I think he should have brought his feet together a little bit more so he could be able to get in and out. Like to see Campbell put 2 and 3 shots together and get away, move to the sides. Don't pull straight back from punches, because that's where you're getting caught on the counter. So Campbell showed lots of heart, got dropped, got up. A lot of people are critical of Campbell for this fight, but I don't see why they should be. These are the sort of fights that down the line help you when you actually challenge for a world title. And I'm a big one in building a fighter. I'm not sure about how they're going about building Campbell at the moment. I'd love to see why Campbell is being treated the way he is. He had that tough fight when he was supposedly injured with a back injury. And then he's had this fight now against Mendes, another tough fight. Yes, I know people say, well, Campbell's 30. I understand. But if he was the best amateur that came out of Britain, or whatever you want to say about that, I think at the end of the day, Campbell needs to be treated not with kid gloves. He needs more of these development fights at this level. Let's see him handle this level more comfortably before moving onwards to the next level. World title fights, I don't want to hear about no world title fights for Campbell. I want to hear about him on his grind, 3, 4, 5 fights like this. Remember Nigel Benn, when he got beat and he went to America, he went for 3 or 4 fights, tough fights. I mean, when one fight he had Alexander Williams, guy had a great chin, hit Ben back, could hurt Ben. That's the sort of fights you need. No more of these fights where you hit a guy and he falls over, because at world level, unless you are a dynamic puncher, not going to happen. So credit to Campbell for that fight. There was talk by many people saying that Mendes was paid off by Hearn in the second round because he could have put the pressure on and stopped Campbell. Well, I can understand people saying that, and I can also understand the fact that it looked more like a glorified sparring session. But I think still Campbell's able to make adjustments. But I don't like that stance wide about. I don't think it's good for Campbell. Like to see his legs a little close together. When you've got your legs sprayed apart and you box, the thing is, you can land shots, heavy shots, but you're very vulnerable, A, to counters, and B, your ability to move in and out is, because remember, you've got to bring your legs, when your legs are that far apart, you've got to bring them back together before you then go decide to move out again. But when your legs are a little close together, you're able to move back, forth, and side to side, easy. You try bouncing with your legs wide apart and then try to move left to right. Tell me what you have to do. You have to bring your legs back together. So every time you bring your legs back together, that takes time. And when you bring your legs back together, then you can get caught. So what you need to do is bring your legs a little closer together. If you're not looking for power shots, you know, you throw your flurries, but don't have your legs like that. But when your legs are planted like that, then be sure you know you can A, take the power the guy's giving you and then be able to land your own shots. Campbell wasn't so sure about whether he could take Mendes' counters, but yeah, he still had his legs sprayed wide apart. And I would like to see his trainer, Rubio, say to him, look, bring your legs a little close together. They're too wide apart. Bring them close together and let's work on throwing, you know, short shots, combination shots, light work to the body, work to the head. But don't be looking to go for a knockout, not in the first 6. You know, he's traveled over. So, you know, where's his fitness going to be like for the 12 rounds or the 10 rounds? Let's look for the first 6 now to just not pitter-patter, land a couple of hard shots, but really be looking to get in and out, do your work, look to outpoint this guy. And in the last 3, 4 rounds, let's then look maybe possibly for a stoppage. So those are my thoughts on that fight as well. Let's see what people are saying in the room. Right, and a lot of people are talking about the Dave Allen fight. I will come round to the Dave Allen fight in a minute, but I'm still talking about the fights that are on at the moment, particularly because there are other people that will watch the show afterwards and from abroad and want to know about what happened and my thoughts on those other fights. And particularly because I'm not going to be doing another video after this, post-fight in all these other fights. I'm going to talk about it, spend time to talk about these fighters. I do like Luke Campbell. Based on what I saw tonight, whether Rubio is the best trainer for Campbell, I don't know. It just seems something missing with Campbell there. Again, his feet being put sprayed far apart, got issues with that. I'd also like to know if Campbell's upset anybody in the camp of with Eddie Hearn, because it seems that he's taking hard fights, taking harder fights than other fighters that are on the Eddie Hearn books that have probably achieved less. Yeah, so that's something that does go through my mind every time I'm watching Luke Campbell fight, and what Eddie Hearn's plan is for Luke Campbell moving forward. I'd like to see Campbell taking more learning fights like that, and I think it's learning fights like that that bode you well when you step into world class. So I'm a believer of that. Campbell tonight, B minus, I'd give him, you know, but he did well against Mendes. So just a little point I want to add to that as well. Richard Comey, who's fighting Easter for the world title. Easter's the guy that knocked out Mendes, was featured on Bayloric TV. So if you want to know a little bit about Richard Comey, just type in Richard Comey Bayloric and you'll find out about Richard Comey. Tall, long, power in both hands fighter. Does his training over in Loughton in Essex. From Ghana. I think he's from Ghana. Good fighter, quality fighter, Commonwealth champion at the moment. Good fighter. So check him out. Richard Comey, challenging for the world title next. All the best for Richard Comey. Shout out to Richard. Okay, moving on. The heavyweight bout. Dave Allen versus Dillian Whyte. Now everyone's got an opinion on him, and I'm sure, you know, I'm gonna get a lot of people having a lot of opinions, and that's what it's about, opinions. But these are some facts coming out. Okay, coming to this fight, and this is not what I'm making up. This is what we know as a fact. Dave Allen only having 10 fights as an amateur, and now 10 fights as a pro. His last fight was against Jason Gavin, who he got berated for. This time he stepped in against Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, famously known for that fight against AJ, that left hook in the second round. And you know, Dillian Whyte is definitely, his profile has shot through the roof since the AJ fight. And, you know, people want to see what he's done since the comeback, since the shoulder injury, the Baccarin fight. Now he's in against Dave Allen. A lot of back and forth between them. We know that was a 3 weeks notice for Dave Allen to prepare for the fight against Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte's fitness did not look like somebody who had been preparing for 3 weeks. He looked very fit going into the fight, and he did well. He put in some good work, put good combinations together, hit Allen hard and regularly with uppercuts and hooks and a variety of punches, switching from southpaw to orthodox. So Dillian Whyte showed some variety in his work, showed he could box, showed he could fight at a high work rate, and all positive things for Dillian Whyte moving forward. Let me stick with Dillian Whyte here. Dillian Whyte, people believe he's a puncher, and based on the fact that he was a puncher and he couldn't get Allen out there, I guess that's a positive. The other thing I want to say is this. Dillian Whyte also said that Dave Allen was a bum. He was bum fights, and in bum fights, and he fought like a drunken tramp and all the rest of it. Well, if you're going to say that and you put that out there, that will come back to bite you. And people will say, okay, you've done 10 rounds, you put the work in, you know, you outpointed the guy over 10 rounds who won maybe possibly a round against you, a guy who only had 10 fights. You're talking about world title ambitions. You couldn't get rid of him. You let this drunken tramp hang around with you for 10 rounds. You let this bum stick around with you for 10 rounds. You could knock this bum out. And surely, based on what you'd said, he's a bum, then bums, widely spoken, generally across the boxing community, would be, he's a bum, that means he should be getting knocked out. That didn't happen. So, you know, I'm always skeptical, or just when people are downrating other fighters before a fight, and then after the fight, it's a different story altogether. So I think, and at the end, where Dillian Whyte didn't want to touch gloves and he didn't want to shake Allen's hand at the end, I think that may have been frustration, because Dillian Whyte, as far as it looked to me, he looked like he had more than 3 weeks notice and had time to prepare for the fight against Allen. Now the flip side, Dave Allen, 10 pro fights, 11th fight against Dillian Whyte. A lot of people berating Allen, but you can't win with boxing fans. And let's have it be said right here. He fought Dillian Whyte. You can't win with boxing fans, and that's why a lot of them are pretty fickle. And I'll just make my point here. If you don't fight Dillian Whyte, you're considered a ducker. If you do fight Dillian Whyte, you're shit. I don't understand why people can't say, you know what? He's had 10 fights as a pro. He's now fought Dillian Whyte. You know, Dillian Whyte got beat by the guy who's now the IBF champion, regardless of what you think of him. He's a world champion. He's achieved it. You know what I mean? Dillian Whyte almost had that champion out of there in the second round, proving that he's got some punch power there. Or Joshua's got a dodgy chin, whichever way you look at it, who everybody rates and a lot of people rate at the moment. Then go back and you look down the road and you look at the Allen fight, and look, Allen got hit with some monster shots and didn't move, wasn't rocked. And you think to yourself, okay, 10 fights Allen's had. It might be another 10 or 15 fights before we actually see how good Dave Allen actually is when he's got a proper training camp and he's consistent with one trainer, and that trainer's taking him places, and Allen actually sits down and listens and says, look, I went 10 rounds with a guy that's a big puncher. I've gone 10 rounds with a guy, didn't really, you know, I didn't get hurt. I went 10 rounds with a guy, and, you know, a guy that a lot of people rate, and I was meant to get blown out of there. So I went 10 rounds with him. Yes, I didn't throw enough punches. And yes, I can say I was inexperienced. And in 10 fights, what do you know in 10 fights? You know, 20 fights from now, I'd like to see what Dave Allen looks like. If he still boxes like that in 10 fights time, there's something gone seriously wrong. So Dave Allen needs to now buckle down. And what I mean buckle down, find a trainer that you're sorted with, settled with, settle with that trainer, and, you know, get some fights. You now have a choice. You can now go down the journeyman route. What I mean journeyman, well, the guy that everyone he steps on well, if you can knock Dave Allen out, then you're going places in your career. Or if you can beat up David Allen, you know, that thing that other contenders go through, you know, that maybe as someone after the Olympics, like Joe Joyce may fight later. When Joe Joyce comes out Olympics and he does well, potentially, Hearn will probably sign him and say, oh, you can use Dave Allen as, that can happen to Dave Allen. Or he can say, you know what, I'm going to be a bit more professional about how I go about things. You know, I won't take the Dillian Whyte. I wouldn't have taken the Dillian Whyte fight. I will, you know, get myself with a trainer that's going to, you know, take my game to the next level. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to, you know, take these things to the next, take my skills to the next level. So what do we know about Allen? He can do 10 rounds at a decent pace. We know that he's got a great chin. We know that, yeah, he's got, you know, he's got stamina. What he now needs to do is put punches together. He needs to polish up and put his punches together. So inside work, if he can get his inside work going and throwing punches in combinations, okay, and you know he can take a good shot, then the future is bright for Dave Allen. I'd like to see him in 10 fights time, you know, a guy that's able to put punches together, nice punches together all on the inside. That's what trainers are for. That's what, you know, that's why having a consistently good trainer, these fighters don't fight by themselves. They've got trainers that teach them how to put punch together. That's what all that pad work for. That's what all that sparring's for. That's what all those things are for. And if you don't have those things, or you're just not using those things that are there, then, you know, I think that's why you managed in a certain way. So my thoughts are the future is bright for Dave Allen. Everyone's seen Dave Allen now, and the future is bright for him. So I'm not one who's dismissing him or dismissive of him. I think he's done well. I'm proud to know Dave Allen. Yes, okay, he didn't throw as many punches as we'd like him to have done. Yes, he could have done this and he could have done that, and we can berate him if you want to. But I'll keep it on a positive and say, you know what? Well done, lad. You did 10 rounds. You've had 3 weeks' notice. Welcome. This is boxing. This is big-time boxing. You need to now go back and do certain things and address things. So the next time you're in a position like this, you'll think differently. So that's it. Dillian Whyte moving forward. Be nice to see him now. Those skills now moving forward and now moving fight. A Chisora fight now looks interesting to see him fight Chisora. I wouldn't want to see him against Hughie Fury, because I think Fury brings something different to the table. The jab, the movement, the boxing ability, different matter altogether. But those are my thoughts on Allen versus Whyte. Good win for Dillian Whyte. Fought at a good pace. Congratulations to Dillian Whyte. That's all I really have to say. Oh, and the last thing I want to say is thank you very much, Sky Sports, once again. Not for the first time. Dillian, if you go back and listen to the tape and you listen to it in commentary, Sky Sports, the commentator, the co-commentator with Glenn McCrory said, Peter Fury said you could hit Dave Allen with a baseball bat. Did he say that really? And so where did you get that information, Mr. Commentator? That interview was done with myself, Peter Fury, Dave Allen, and Eddie Chambers. If you don't believe me, go back and check out the interview, Peter Fury thoughts on Dave Allen. Check it out for yourself and see it there on Bayloric TV. Just nice to get some credit every so often, but that's just the way it is. But at least it lets me know that my stuff is being watched. And thank you, Sky Sports, for that. Appreciate it. So let's see what people are saying in the room. Okay. Yes. John Earp says, disappointed with the fight. Sky stole your lines. Thank you very much, John Earp. Copindo 9. Dave seems stuck in sparring partner mentality. Well, I think going 10 rounds and, you know, I think possibly that sparring partner mentality is more the case of, you know what, got nothing really to lose here. If I can't win this fight, I'm going to do the 10 rounds. And with that, you know, I didn't think he did that much holding. I just think he should have let his hands go further. John App says the baseball line, indeed. Robin Red says Allen is crap. Pub brawler. Well, is that a reflection of Dillian Whyte now? Because, I mean, you're calling him that. So I would rather be a little bit more constructive with criticism. Allen far too green. I agree. He definitely is green. And with 10 fights, what do you want? He's not an Olympic champion. He had 10 fights as an amateur. What do you expect? I mean, I don't know how many guys that had 10 amateur fights that come out and fight with 10 pro fights and look like Oscar De La Hoya. There's a reason why the amateur ranks give you sort of pedigree and give you certain things. So I think a guy that has had very few amateur fights and come out and fought pro and done that has done very well. So when you look at it like that, it's I think it's a positive. Coping Donine says Dave Allen far too green. Yes, he is far too green. And well, inexperience is the word. But I think that there are positives there. Dave Allen far too red after that, and Whyte ain't much, is he? Well, Robin, I'm not sure. We'll see where Dillian Whyte goes from here. If Dillian Whyte then goes and wins a world title, then he would have got beat by a world champion. So we'll see where Dillian Whyte goes from here. I think Whyte got lucky with that. He was not knocked out in round 1. John Earp says Dave Allen's punch selection was poor, but he's still young, one hell of a chin, not much between Whyte and Dave in levels. Well, that's what I'm saying there. This is a guy who had 3 weeks notice and he had 10 pro fights and 10 amateur fights. So I think it's not a bad thing. I think looking forward, looking forward, I would say, look, you need to be able to put your punch together better. That comes with timing, and that comes with lots of more pad work and lots more sparring, and, you know, not sparring for sparring mentality's sake, but sparring to actually push yourselves forward to, you know, try and win a British title. So I think Dave Allen will be a handful in time. You know, you think to yourself, I mean, I would have thought Olin McCall was a great fighter, had a hell of a chin. So on any given night with a guy who's got a hell of a chin in the heavyweight, and to have a hell of a chin in the heavyweight division is a plus bonus. I mean, I would say that Allen's chin, based on, you know, he's got a very, very good chin. And if he's got a very, very good chin, that's a bonus in the heavyweight division. Now, if he can get his punch selection better, I think there's definitely hopes for the future. John Whyte looked good at times, throwing them long, lighter, fast shots. He did indeed. So give Dillian props for that. What Coping down 9. Dillian right hand was very poor. Okay. John Earp says, I was thinking that Ingram worried Alan falls into the journeyman mindset path. He's too good for that. Frank Warren and Mick Hennessy should pick him up. I agree. I think so. I really do. I think Alan's got a huge future. If Frank Warren saw that, if I were Frank Warren and I saw that, I think, you know what, this guy's got a good chin. And if you were to take him under his wing and Alan was prepared to listen, then I think a good partnership with Mick Hennessy, I think him and Mick Hennessy would be better. So he can just kind of disappear for a while, learn his trade and gain a lot more experience quietly, and then come back on a big stage. That's what I think for Alan. Royd Smith says gutted. If Frank gets him, he will disappear, says Glenn. John Earp says he's got plenty of time to improve. What, Alan's 24 years old? Bright future, says John Earp. Copindo 9 says disappearing is what he needs. Yeah, for a while, I think so. Learn, new trade, and come back. I agree. If he disappears, he could build himself. I totally agree with you, Copindo 9. It is a big positive. The biggest platform in boxing is using your content, Ingram. Well, this tells you they've been doing it for a while. I'll tell you another thing that was said tonight. Somebody was giving Spencer Ferron credit and saying, "Oh, Spencer Ferron's one of the few first people to talk about Terence Crawford." Wrong. We interviewed Terence Crawford before, just after he beat Breeders Prescott. We spotted him then. We brought you Keith Thurman then, before Keith Thurman was even anywhere near a world title shot, after he fought Carlos Quintana. You know, those are two fighters there. We brought you Bermain Stavern before he became world champion. We've brought you Tyson Fury before he became world champion. We've had Hughie Fury before he even turned pro. We were the first to interview Hughie Fury before he turned pro. So we've got to start getting some credit here, Bayloric TV. I don't think we are getting it, but I think when fans start smelling the coffee and understanding, but it's all right. It's cool. It's cool. Glenn says, going underrated will be stupid. He can say goodbye to big fights. And no, I think at this point in time, I certainly think at this point in time, Dave Allen needs to take himself away from the big scene, the big fight scene, because if he stays in the big fight scene, he will be used as a journeyman. Watch the game, Glenn. They'll use him as a journeyman. He doesn't want that. He needs to have more control of his career. More control of his career means, you know what? Take some of these learning fights now. You know, not these. Eastern. See, the fight against Richard Towers would have been a good fight for him to get. He was meant to fight Richard Towers. So there you go. Send them an invoice. Hello, Ingram. Boxing on now, and you're all missing Box Nation. Right. Mikey Garcia is fighting. Yep. So I'm going to bring this to a close, people. I will be back here later to see if Frampton can prove me wrong and outwork the unworkable Leo Santa Cruz. I think Santa Cruz is going to get on top of Frampton, set a torrid pace, and I can see if Frampton can't get on the inside, I can see Santa Cruz really getting on top of Frampton and overpowering. If Frampton hasn't got power at featherweight, and he wasn't a great puncher in the lower weight division, it'll be interesting. Red Sox, my man, fan, you have a lot of great reviews. I do. I'm of the basis that if people don't want to acknowledge what we're doing at Bayloric TV, that's fine. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing. We're just going to improve the platform, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing. Alan did need to throw more punches, and I will talk to him, but I think that's experience as well. It's experience as well. So, yeah, but people now know who Dave Allen is, and I support him 100%. I think this is going to be an interesting journey ahead. This has been Ingram Jones from Bayloric TV. I will catch you back here. Just hit the subscribe button so you get to know when the next show will be. We'll be back for Leo Santa Cruz versus Frampton. I'm back in Frampton. No, I'm back in Santa Cruz. Mid to late stoppage. Getting on top of Frampton and fighting at a pace that Frampton has never fought at in his career. Alan needs to throw. You can't win fights not throwing them. I agree. And again, that needs to go and work that out in the gym. So I better get out of here. Box Nation. See you later, guys.